Good morning, students. I am teacher Salunge TB from Sri Shivaji Vidya Mandir and Junior College, Aun, Pune. I welcome all of you in this session of English language. Students, in the previous session, we completed the lesson On to the Summit, we reach the top. Today, in this session, we are going to begin with the new lesson, next lesson. The title of the lesson is Pillars of Democracy. This lesson is written by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. So before we begin with the actual lesson, let us start with the activities given in the icebreaker section. Students, let us look at page number 35. I read the first activity. Discuss with your partner and choose the correct alternative. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. This famous statement is made by. So, four alternatives are given below. I read the alternatives. The first alternative is Mahatma Gandhi. The second alternative is Nelson Mandela. The third alternative is Abraham Lincoln. And the last one is Dalai Lama. Correct alternative for this activity is Abraham Lincoln. Now let us move to the second activity. I read the activity. A system where the government is elected and ruled by people is called. Here also we have four alternatives: bureaucracy, aristocracy, democracy, and autocracy. So students, let me explain you these terms first of all. Bureaucracy means the government by bureaus or their administrator or officers. Aristocracy means the government by ruling class. Democracy means the government of people or their elected representatives. And autocracy means the government in which unlimited power is held by a single individual. So, our activity is a system where the government is elected and ruled by people is called. The correct alternative is democracy. Let us move to the third activity. A democratic country is governed by its. The first option is military. The second option is police. The third option is politicians. And the fourth option is constitution. So students, a democratic country is governed by its constitution. So the correct alternative or option is D, constitution. Let us come to the next activity. The Trinity of Democracy comprises three principles. Complete the web to show the Trinity of Democracy. So below this activity, the web chart is given. At the center, it is given Trinity of Democracy. So here we can mention liberty, equality, and fraternity. So these are 3 points we can write here. These are Trinity. Trinity means a group of three things. So the correct answer is liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now let us come to the second activity, match the following. There are two columns. In the A column we have first constitution, the second one is liberty, the third one is equality, and the fourth one is fraternity. So the first point, constitution, for this point the correct answer is D from B column. I read that point. It is an aggregate of fundamental principles or established precedents that constitute the legal basis of a polity, organization, or other type of entity and commonly determine how that entity is to be governed. So this is the correct answer, D. for the first point, constitution. Second point is liberty. For this point, the correct answer is A from B column. I read the answer. It is the freedom to go where you want, do what you want, etc. So, the correct answer for the second point, liberty, is A from the column B. Now, let us come to the third point given in the A column. The third point is equality. For this point, the correct answer is B. I read the answer. It is the state of being equal, especially in status, rights, or opportunities. And the last one is fraternity. Correct answer for this point, fraternity, is C from B column. It is the sense of common brotherhood. So, students, we have completed these activities from the section icebreaker. The last activity, I read the activity. Pillars form a support for concrete buildings. Metaphorically speaking, a strong nation too depends on strong pillars. Discuss with your partner and explain the pillars of democratic nation. Make a list of obstacles that are a threat to the progress of nation. So students, you are expected here to write down the pillars, different pillars for a democratic nation, as well as you need to make a list of obstacles or threats to the progress of a nation. Now students, let us look at page number 36. So before we begin with the actual lesson, Pillars of Democracy, let me tell you something about the author of this lesson. As I told you, this lesson is written by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 in the town and military cantonment of Mohu, now Dr. Ambedkar Nagar in Madhya Pradesh. He got his degree from Elphinstone College, Mumbai. He subsequently obtained the doctorate from Columbia University, USA, and London School of Economics. He was also assigned the big and challenging task of framing the Constitution of India in the capacity of chairman of the drafting committee. He was awarded the Bharat Ratna posthumously for his dedication and commitment for the welfare of our country. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has laid emphasis on the values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. According to him, these principles will make India a strong nation. He opines that hero worship is a sure road to degradation and to eventual dictatorship and the collapse of a nation. So students, this is what we discussed about the writer, the author of this lesson, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Now, let us move to the first paragraph of this lesson. I read the first paragraph. If we wish to maintain democracy not merely in form but also in fact, what must we do? The first thing in my judgment we must do is to hold fast to constitutional methods of achieving our social and economic objectives. When there was no way left for constitutional methods for achieving economic and social objectives, there was a great deal of justification for unconstitutional methods. But where constitutional methods are open, there can be no justification for these unconstitutional methods. These methods are nothing but the grammar of anarchy, and the sooner they are abandoned, the better for us.
So students, in the first paragraph, we saw that if we wish to maintain democracy, not merely in form but also in fact. So here, how are we going to maintain democracy? So, what must we do? We should put all these rules, regulations, principles into practice. In other words, we should follow these rules, regulations, principles practically. We should follow constitutional methods. When there was no way left for constitutional methods for achieving economic and social objectives. So students, what are these constitutional methods? So legislature, executor, judiciary. So all these are constitutional methods we are supposed to follow. And why we are going to follow these constitutional methods? Because we have certain social and economical objectives. We have certain objectives to be fulfilled. So to achieve these objectives, we must stick to these constitutional methods. We have to abide by these constitutional methods or rules, regulations, principles. Let us look at the last sentence in the first paragraph. But where constitutional methods are open, there can be no justification for these unconstitutional methods. So, if we don't follow these methods, rules, principles, regulation, or if we fail to follow these rules, regulations, it leads to grammar of anarchy. So here, the expression grammar of anarchy means a state of disorder due to the absence of non-recognition of controlling system. So, anarchy means there is always disorder, confusion if we fail to follow these rules, principles or constitutional methods. So, this paragraph highlights that we must follow all these constitutional methods to achieve our social and economical objectives. And if we fail to follow these methods, so definitely there will be disorder, confusion.
Students, let us move to the second passage from page number 36. I read the passage. The second thing we must do is to observe the caution which John Stuart Mill has given to all who are interested in the maintenance of democracy, namely, not to lay their liberties at the feet of even a great man, or to trust him with powers which enable him to subvert their institutions. There is nothing wrong in being grateful to great men who have rendered lifelong services to the country. But there are limits to gratefulness. Students, in this paragraph, the author quotes John Stuart Mill, English philosopher, member of parliament, has given to all who wish to maintain or interested in the maintenance of democracy. What is the caution given by John Stuart Mill? The caution not to lay their liberties at the feet of even a great man, or not to trust him with powers which enable him to subvert their institutions. So here the meaning of the word subvert means to overthrow or ruin. So here the advice given by John Mill means we should never sacrifice our liberties at the feet of any man, howsoever great he may be. The second advice given by him is not to trust him by giving him powers which may enable him to destroy or ruin institutions. Further, it is said that being grateful to great men is not wrong, as they have contributed lifelong service for the country or society, but there are limits. Students, let us move to the next sentences. As has been well said by the Irish patriot Daniel O'Connell, no man can be grateful at the cost of his honor, no woman can be grateful at the cost of her chastity, and no nation can be grateful at the cost of liberty. So further, three significant things what the Irish patriot Daniel O'Connell says are quoted. First, he says no man should be grateful if it compromises his honor. No woman should be grateful at the cost of her chastity. Chastity means purity. And no nation should be grateful at the cost of its liberty. This caution is far more necessary in the case of India than in the case of any other country. For in India, bhakti, or what may be called the path of devotion or hero worship, plays a part in its politics unequaled in magnitude by the part it plays in the politics of any other country in the world. So students, in these sentences, the word hero worship means excessive admiration for somebody. This caution is the caution against hero worship. Hero worship means excessive admiration for somebody. The caution is far more necessary in the case of India because this hero worship the writer is talking about is more prevalent than in any other country. So students, bhakti in religion may be a road to the salvation of the soul. But in politics, bhakti or hero worship is a sure road to degradation and to eventual dictatorship. So here, the comparison has been rightly made between bhakti in religion and bhakti or hero worship in politics. Bhakti in religion refers to the way of salvation of the soul, whereas bhakti or hero worship in politics refers to the road to degradation or road to become worse. Finally, this results in dictatorship. It leads to be ruled by a dictator. On the 26th of January 1950, we are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we will have inequality. In politics, we will be recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value. Further, the writer, the author, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has mentioned life of contradiction in a sense that as far as our politics and social and economic life is concerned, he says there will be equality in politics but inequality in social and economical life. He also makes it clear that on the one hand we follow the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value in politics, but on the other hand in our social and economical life we will deny this principle of one man, one value. The reason is our social and economic structure. Students, further the writer says, how long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? If we continue to deny it for long, we will do so only by putting our political democracy in peril. The author further explains here, if this contradiction as we discussed and this denial of equality in social and economical life continue, our political democracy will be in peril, means in danger. We must remove this contradiction at the earliest possible moment, or else those who suffer from inequality will blow up the structure of political democracy which this assembly has so laboriously built up. As far as this contradiction is concerned, we must think of and remove this contradiction as early as possible. Otherwise, the people who suffer from this inequality will blow up, means destroy the structure of this political democracy which this assembly has laboriously built up. So students, I hope you must have understood these two passages from page number 36 and 37. I conclude this session here. I stop here. Thank you.